The night envelops the lab in a deep stillness, wrapping me in a cocoon of solitude. The only sounds punctuating the silence are the soft clinks of glassware, the metallic tinkle echoing like distant chimes as I delicately transfer the viscous solution from one porcelain basin to another. The sharp metallic scent of chemicals imparts a familiar energy to the air, invigorating and reminding me of the countless nights I've spent here, investigating and dreaming. My heart quickens with each careful transfer, the liquid cascading from one vessel to another like a whisper of hope, an offering to the unknown. As I perform each cycle of fractional crystallization, the process feels methodical, almost ritualistic, a meditation that quiets my racing thoughts. I anchor myself with the reassuring mantra, just a few more cycles. Each repetition unfolds with an almost sacred precision, the act of creation intertwining seamlessly with my anticipation. The sample from last night seemed to hint at a fraction more activity. The thought sends an electric thrill through me, the anticipation sparkling within me like the quiet yet creeping green glow I now yearn to isolate. The moment the last drop settles into the basin, I lean in closer, my breath hitching as the glass feels cool beneath my fingertips. I catch my breath, pausing to savor the gentle luminescence radiating from the solution. It's as if it pulses with life, teasing my instincts, its glow hidden like a shy treasure waiting to be unearthed. With a steady hand, I carefully withdraw a small sample. I can almost feel the gleam of its potential pulling at me from the depths of that verdant hue. In this moment of solitude, as the world outside falls away, the lab transforms into my entire universe, a realm where every flicker of light mirrors the burning questions dancing in my mind. Stepping into the darkened corner of the room, the atmosphere around me feels charged, an ethereal backdrop to my quest. Shadows stretch across the workbenches, where the clutter of notes and worn textbooks creates a chaotic sanctuary. I lean closer, straining my eyes to calculate the intensity of the glowing light, recalling the myriad memories of my previous findings, each one a stepping stone along this winding pathway of discovery. My brow furrows in concentration. I am not merely an observer in this moment. I am a scientist measuring, comparing, noting the changes with painstaking precision. The mysteries of radium ignite my imagination, creating a vivid tapestry of ideas and hypotheses that unfurl in the recesses of my thoughts. I often find myself entranced, much like a detective pursuing a tantalizing clue. Each whisper of the liquid, every flicker of the glow, pulls me deeper into the shadows of understanding. There, in the quiet resonance of the lab, the silence seems to hum with potential, carrying untold stories and unseen energy, awaiting my touch to bring them to light. As I step back from the sample, a breath escapes my lips, a sigh that hangs in the cool air of the lab. I close my eyes for a moment, letting the scent of chemicals and the ambience wrap around me. This space is imbued with history, a shrine to countless explorations, each test tube and beaker a witness to the dance of discovery. The subtle notes of earthiness intertwine with the sharper tang of metallics, grounded scents that anchor me amid the ethereal swirl of anticipation. I lean forward once more, fitting my gaze to the shifting shadows, calculating anew, feeling the familiar spark of curiosity ignite. The heightened glow feels as if it possesses a will of its own, engaging me in an intricate game of hide and seek. With each careful observation, I find echoes of past experiments whispering in my mind, the lessons they imparted echoing through the veil of time. I remember the early mornings when dawn light seeped in through the cracked windows, illuminating the dust motes that floated through the air like thoughts solidified. The lab, filled with my tools and findings, feels intimate. Each piece of equipment, from the delicate glassware to the rough scrawled notes, bears the fingerprints of my journey, a trail mapping my thoughts and dreams. I know that the next moments, each flicker of light and whisper of movement, hold promise. There is something awe-inspiring in straddling the line between the known and the unknown, a power pulsing just beyond my grasp. As I stood by the flickering flames in my workshop, The scent of burning beeswax and aged wood enveloped me, drawing me deeper into my thoughts. The glow of the candles cast elongated shadows across the cluttered workbench, where beakers and vials filled with mysterious liquids awaited my touch. Each drop contained a fragment of my curiosity, a whisper of inspiration urging me to continue my experiments. I placed the tip of my finger into a delicate vial, feeling the coolness of the glass, my mind racing with possibilities. What wonders might these compounds reveal? I could almost hear the distant whispers of my peers echoing in the chambers of my mind. They often questioned my methods, my relentless desire to uncover the secrets of the world around us. Why pursue the intangible, they would say, their skepticism hanging in the air like a thick fog. Yet, the thrill of discovery burned brightly within me, warmer than the flame before me. With a deliberate motion, I filled a copper pot with ethereal blue liquid from one of the larger glass vessels, marveling at its luminescence. It felt as if the essence of the universe was captured within its depths, awaiting the right moment to break free. A subtle tremor of excitement coursed through me. Would this be the moment I proved them all wrong? The moment I unearthed something truly extraordinary? As I began my careful measurements, the world outside faded, and a soft hum of the fire became my only companion. I recalled my childhood dreams, standing under the stars, wondering about the distant worlds beyond our own. My heart raced at the thought of contributing a new understanding to humanity, an insight into the natural order that had long eluded us. Could I, a mere woman in this male-dominated realm, forge a path that would illuminate our collective knowledge? The concoction bubbled gently as I stirred, the mixture responding beautifully to my touch. Each swirl set off a cascade of colorful sparks, intoxicating and exhilarating. Would I be brave enough to witness what awaited within? As the shadows danced around me, I felt a kinship with the unknown, a silent promise that something spectacular was emerging. The flickering flames mirrored my determination. I would not shy away from the question that grew stronger with each passing moment. What mysteries would this night unravel? My heart thrummed with both dread and anticipation, ready to embrace whatever awaited me on this journey of discovery. As I entered the dimly lit laboratory, the faint glow of candlelight danced across the walls, casting flickering shadows that seemed to whisper secrets of the past. The air was thick with the scent of old parchment, mingling with the lingering fragrance of herbs hanging from the wooden beams, their essence captured in the stillness. I felt a gentle flutter in my chest, a mixture of excitement and trepidation. Was this where the boundaries of curiosity would collide with the harsh realities of discovery? I moved towards the desk, my hands trembling with anticipation as I brushed them over the worn surface, feeling the grooves of countless hours of labor and thought etched into the wood. The beakers and flasks lined up neatly, filled with vibrant concoctions that seemed to pulse with life, called to me like sirens. What mysteries did they hold beneath their colorful exteriors? Each one promised a glimpse into the unknown, a chance to reveal what had long remained hidden from mankind. As I poured a shimmering liquid into a glass vial, my heart raced. I could hear the old clock ticking somewhere in the corner, its rhythmic pulse echoing my own. Time felt both infinite and fleeting in this space of wonder. I wondered what it would take to unravel the truths that clung to the edges of my mind. Would I find answers or merely additional questions? A lifetime of academia flooded through me, each thought sharper than any blade I could wield. Suddenly, the door creaked behind me, pulling my attention away from the bubbling potion before me. A shadow crossed the threshold, but as I turned, I saw only empty space, yet my instincts sensed an unseen presence. Who might be watching, waiting for the moment I could uncover a truth that perhaps was meant to remain locked away? I shivered, a chill dancing along my spine as I imagined eyes peering from the darkness, watching my every move. With renewed resolve, I vowed to push forward. There was too much at stake. I would brave the unknown, whatever risks that may entail. I glanced back at my work, the candle's light illuminating all my tools laid out like soldiers awaiting the dawn. The night was young, and the promise of discovery hung in the air like the sweet scent of the herbs surrounding me. What awaited in the depths of my exploration, I could only begin to imagine, but I was driven by a quiet question echoing through my mind. What is the cost of knowledge? As the candle flickered for a moment, I felt a spark of determination ignite within me. I would embrace this journey, knowing well that every experiment could lead to revelations or calamities. What lies ahead, I could not tell, but my heart pushed me onward into the murky depths of discovery. I was ready to embark on this path, anchored by nothing but my insatiable curiosity and the whispers of the past that beckoned me. As I stood in the dim light of the lab, the scent of sulfur and old paper hung in the air like whispers of ancient knowledge. Each flickering flame from the oil lamps danced with shadows, creating a symphony of light that played across the walls lined with dusty tomes. It was a world of secrets, hidden behind closed doors, much like my own life. I gently lifted a vial from the workbench, its glass cool against my fingers, and peered within. The liquid shimmered, a captivating blue reminiscent of the ocean waves crashing against a stony shore. I could almost hear their call as I recalled my youth spent along the coast, moments when the horizon seemed endless and full of promise. What was it that drove me to this point? The question nagged at the back of my mind like an incessant tide. Determined, I set the vial down and reached for the notebook that held my thoughts, my dreams, my experiments. The pages felt worn beneath my fingertips, a testament to the countless nights spent writing in solitude. I immersed myself in those words, each line a thread weaving together the tapestry of my aspirations. Would my work ever bear fruit? The longing for discovery intertwined with a haunting sense of fear. Suddenly, a crash echoed from the back of the laboratory, pulling me from my reverie. Adrenaline surged through me, and my heart raced. I crept toward the source, my breath shallow as curiosity wrestled with caution. The air felt charged with potential. Perhaps this unexpected disturbance would lead to an answer, unraveling the mystery that had enveloped my existence for so long. As I edged around a bookshelf, I spotted a stray journal lying on the ground, pages flapping like a bird desperate for freedom. It belonged to a fellow scholar, a colleague lost to the shadows of this very place. The room felt heavy with history. I knelt to retrieve it, sensing the weight of the knowledge it held, potential revelations that could change the course of our understanding. I flipped through the pages, glancing at sketches and notes that illuminated paths I had yet to explore. Was it possible that this journal contained the key to the breakthrough I sought? My heart raced with anticipation. I had to take this leap. The quiet question in my heart, the yearning for truth, propelled me forward as I turned back toward the desk. A decision made, driven by a flicker of hope and an unyielding quest for knowledge. What awaited me in those pages could lead to wonders beyond my wildest imaginations. As I stood on the precipice of the laboratory's ancient wooden floor, the scent of dust and burnt chemicals wrapped around me like a familiar cloak. The moonlight filtered in through the grime-streaked windows, casting eerie shadows that danced across my workspace, each flicker of candlelight igniting a flicker of memory within my mind. This was not merely a space of education, it was a sanctuary of exploration, a realm where I could mold the very fabric of nature's secrets. It was the year 1923, an era where science blossomed like the flowers in spring. Yet, unlike those blossoms, I stood on the edge of a curve of uncertainty fluttered like a caged bird in my chest as I glanced towards the collection of test tubes, each one a vessel of potential, awaiting to spill forth their revelations. What could I discover today? The glorious question wrapped around my thoughts, urging me forward. I filled the first beaker with distilled water, the clarity of the liquid promising purity and the possibility of creation. As I lowered my hands, I marveled at the sight of my own fingers, delicate and trembling as they engaged with the materials before me. Each motion felt ceremonious, steeped in an energy I could hardly articulate. A shiver of anticipation coursed through my veins, lighting up the shadows of doubt lurking in the corners of my mind. With a precise touch, I added a sprinkle of copper sulfate, watching as the powder cascaded like tiny, shimmering stars to the bottom of the glass. The gentle swirl of reaction began, producing a familiar shade of azure that washed over the water in cascading ripples. My heart quickened. It was a reminder of a childhood experiment that had thrilled my imagination, a portal opening back to the days of innocence, where failure was merely an adventure waiting to unfold. I lost myself in this experimentation, the days becoming a blur as I mixed, measured, and recorded. The quiet hours were filled not with silence, but with the symphony of bubbling liquids and the crackle of flames from the Bunsen burner. Each hour seemed to stretch infinitely, yet my internal clock ticked away, asking me, pleading with me, "Will you unlock the answer?" With every passing moment, the echo of the question grew louder, teasing the very edges of my focus. It was then that I decided to turn my energy towards the concoction known as phenolphthalein. The mere thought of its magical properties, transforming from a clear liquid to a radiant pink, sent an electric wave of excitement through me. I carefully prepared the reagents, coaxing them together in a way that felt almost ritualistic. The air was thick with the smell of chemicals, but instead of being repelled, I was drawn deeper into this world of reaction and transformation. Suddenly, a misjudged measurement sent the mixture bubbling over the rim of the flask, creating a frothy eruption that splattered across my hands and the workbench. I let out a gasp, yet beneath my surprise, laughter bubbled within me. This was the nature of scientific inquiry, I thought. This was the dance of discovery, messy, unpredictable, and utterly exhilarating. There was a certain beauty in this chaos, the way the colors merged and collided against one another, each reaction a crash of possibility. I paused for a moment, the chaos of the laboratory fading into the edges of my vision as I was momentarily mesmerized by the vividness of my surroundings. The golden glow of candlelight flickered, casting a realm of shimmering shadows that felt alive, alive in their own right. Pushing aside the thought of the mess I had created, I embraced the growing vibrancy within me. My fingers found their way to the corner of my notebook, swept aside by an unnoticed breeze, and suddenly I was filling its pages with thoughts that cascaded forth like the chemicals swirling in my test tubes. I wrote about the reactions, the sounds that danced in the air, and the feelings that vibrated within my soul. It was at that moment that I realized I was no longer just a scientist conducting experiments. I was a creator, a conjurer of visions, tapping into the very veins of existence to extract the essence of life and transformation. My heart raced as I penned down the revelations, the questions and answers intertwining like tendrils of smoke rising from the candle on my desk. The hours rolled by until they melded into the twilight hours, the golden light of day shifting into the silvery whispers of night. I could see the shadows drawing long across my workspace, the various jars and beakers casting peculiar silhouettes, each a character in this evolving play of chemistry. In the midst of this wonder, I found peace. Each reaction taught me patience. Every mistake invited me to look deeper. I learned that in this space of inquiry, nothing was trivial, and with every flicker of curiosity, I could uncover truths that lay hidden beneath the surface of the world. Finally, my gaze landed on the experiments sprawled across the table, hopeful glimpses of something groundbreaking waiting to be unveiled. In that moment, as I surveyed the remnants of a day dedicated to relentless exploration, I felt the stirring of a new question emerge, a quiet whisper that begged to be addressed. What if I could contribute to knowledge that would ripple through time, leaving behind an imprint on those who would follow? And so I continued, driven by that internal flame, fascinated by the endless possibilities that lay before me, ready to dive further into the secrets the universe had concealed, one bubbling beaker at a time. Those questions, like the experiments, would lead me on an unending journey, a dance of science and spirit intertwined in search of illumination. In the hushed confines of the laboratory, where the air hung thick with the scent of sulfur and the promise of discovery, I found myself standing before a row of curious glass vessels, their contents swirling in hues of blue and green. Each flask danced with an energy I could scarcely understand, yet within me, a flicker of purpose ignited. How had I, a mere girl in a world decidedly not made for us, come to stand here, amidst the secrets of the universe? As I walked closer, the wooden floor creaked beneath my feet, a gentle reminder of the past that resonated through the very beams of this old house. I recalled the conversations with father, his voice echoing in my mind like a distant thunderstorm. Knowledge is the key, my dear Emily. It unlocks the doors of potential. I placed my fingertips on the cool glass and closed my eyes, letting the rhythm of my breath sync with the faint bubbling of the liquid inside. My heart pounded. Could I truly unlock the mysteries of nature? Or am I but a fleeting ember in this vast, unyielding world? The dim light from the oil lamps cast an inviting glow, illuminating the cobwebs that draped lazily from the upper shelves. Each corner of the room whispered stories of those who had tried and failed. Yet still, hope shimmered in the air like the dust motes dancing lazily in the golden beams. I opened my eyes, and the sight before me filled me with a renewed sense of determination. I decided then, amidst the whispers of the long gone, that I would make my mark. I would create something so profound that even the shadows of doubt would retreat from the light of my ambition. Hours passed as I toiled, carefully measuring out ingredients with trembling hands, the familiar sensation of uncertainty pushing against my resolve. I summoned the courage within me, asking silently, what if I succeed? What if my discoveries change the world? And with every stir of the concoction, I felt the seed of my dreams germinate within my heart. Suddenly, a soft knock broke my concentration. Startled, I glanced towards the door, where the dull echo of reverberation marked the onset of reality intruding upon my solitude. Emily, are you in there? My brother's voice carried through, filled with concern and an elder's protective warmth. I hesitated. The world outside felt so distant, yet the bond that tethered me to him was undeniable. I opened the door just enough to peek through. I'm fine, William, I called softly, worried that my fervor for discovery might sound ridiculous. Yet I also knew he would always look out for me, despite the world we lived in trying to cage me. Come in, just for a moment. As the door creaked open wider, his concerned gaze fell upon the myriad of flasks and beakers spread across the table. An apprehensive smile tugged at his lips. You shouldn't be in here alone, Emily. Old Mr. Jenkins said he'd seen one of the bottles explode during his experiments. What if something happens? His worry danced in my mind, a puddle of doubt mingling with the fire of my ambition. But William, this is what I love. You understand, don't you? I need to pursue this, to understand the world around us. I glanced at my work, then back at him. The atmosphere was palpable. He saw me, the real me, buried beneath layers of expectation. Just promise you'll be careful, he replied quietly, his eyes holding the weight of our family's shared dreams. With a gentle nod, I returned to my work, but in the back of my mind lingered the question, would my pursuit be worth all the fear and concern? Days turned into weeks as I dove deeper into my research. Each success was marred by moments of doubt, overshadowed by the fear of what failure could mean. I lit the candles late into the night, allowing their flickering flames to guide my path through the shadows. I tasted success and failure alike, feeling them rattle my confidence like a storm churning in the distance. But each time I felt like I was losing my footing, I would close my eyes and remember the whisper of the past, the dreams that fueled my fire. Then, one fateful evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of fiery passion, I finally felt a shift within me, a spark of revelation. I had stumbled upon a formula that seemed to breathe life, a concoction that blended the mundane and the extraordinary in a way I had never envisaged. It felt as if the universe itself had conspired to show me this hidden truth. I stood before my latest creation, my heart swelling with anticipation. Will you hold? I wondered, my thoughts echoing into the comforting silence of the lab. As I carefully poured the liquid into a smaller flask, a sense of thrill surged through me. But just as I finished, a sudden tremor coursed through the floor, rattling my thoughts and my flask. The lights flickered ominously, and for a moment, time halted, hovering like a delicate pendulum before a great shift. Everything began to unfold in slow motion. I saw my brother rushing towards me, his face twisted in alarm. The flask slipped from my hand, tumbling through the air as if illustrating my worst fears. It shattered upon impact, a cascade of glass and liquid exploding outward like a burst of stars scattering across the darkened sky. Panic surged. My heart raced against the drum of uncertainty. Did I risk everything to only watch it dissolve in an instant? Yet, amidst the chaos, I was struck by wonder. A trail of luminous vapor spiraled up, weaving a tapestry of sparkling light that danced towards the ceiling. It hung in the air like a mystical veil, shimmering with a beauty I had never encountered. My breath caught in my throat. This was not failure, but the dawn of something extraordinary. With William at my side, my heart began to swell with something more profound than doubt, an understanding that my experiments were merely the ash from which innovation could arise. The light cascaded around us, and in that moment, I took a quiet vow. I would not let fear hinder my pursuit of knowledge. I would stand resilient, eyes wide open, ready to embrace the wonders yet to come, my path illuminated by the very uncertainty that threatened to engulf me. And so, within that rustic laboratory, amid broken glass and vibrant light, I found myself not just a girl pursuing science, but a pioneer on the brink of unraveling the essence of our world, never once questioning my place here again. What lay beyond discovery beckoned me forward, and with every labored breath, I would chase after it, knowing now that failure was merely a precursor to success, and the true journey had only just begun. As I stood in the dim light of my cramped lab, surrounded by jars of peculiar specimens and the faint, lingering scent of ether, a shiver of anticipation coursed through me. The world outside continued its relentless march, but within these walls, I was the master of transformation. Each moment here pulsed with the promise of discovery, and yet I grappled with a longing that transcended my experiments. What was it that I truly sought? Was it knowledge, power, or perhaps a sense of belonging? As I extracted the delicate electrons from the basic elements around me, I felt a deep hunger. Was it for understanding, or for a connection to something greater? The flickering candlelight painted shadows across the room, and as I bent over my workbench, my hands moved deftly, shaping the materials that lay before me. I remember the way the glass felt cool and smooth, the surface reflecting my determination. The numerous failed experiments weighed heavily on my conscience, yet it was within failure that I found a strange comfort, a reminder that the journey was as significant as the destination. I was feverishly working on my latest creation, a device meant to unlock the secrets of the human psyche. The thought drove me, infused my veins with electric fervor. Would this invention be a portal to comprehending the ineffable mysteries of the heart and mind? With each turn of the gears and gaze into the lenses, my thoughts spiraled inward. The moon hung high in the sky, its silvery rays peeking through the windowpane, casting an ethereal glow upon my cluttered space. I leaned back in my chair, allowing myself a moment of reflection. My mind drifted to my father, a man of science himself, whose late-night lectures often echoed in my imagination. How he had instilled in me a passion for discovery, a burning desire to unravel the very fabric of existence. I could still hear his voice resonating in my ears, encouraging me to push boundaries, urging me to never question the validity of imagination. Suddenly, a soft knock interrupted my reverie. My heart raced as I turned to see a figure standing at the door, a familiar silhouette that filled me with a sense of warmth and dread. It was Eliza, my dearest friend and the anchor in my tempestuous world of enthralling experiments. "Are you still at it?" she asked playfully as she stepped into my sanctuary. Her eyes sparkled with concern and intrigue. "You won't find answers buried in those jars forever. Come, let's take a walk under the moon." The thought both excited and frightened me. The laboratory was my refuge, but her presence coaxed me out, urged me to breathe in the fresh air of possibility. I reluctantly agreed, and as we stepped outside, I was enveloped by the cool breeze of the night. The world felt alive. A symphony of whispers danced in the leaves overhead, beckoning my curious spirit. As we strolled along the cobblestone path, the stars twinkled like distant hopes above us. Eliza spoke of her own aspirations, of traveling to far-off lands, of adventures that awaited beyond the horizon. I admired her free spirit, yet jealousy gnawed at me. I was tethered to my ambitions, shackled to my lab while she roamed the world freely. "What ails you, my friend?" she asked, sensing my internal conflict. "Your eyes betray a storm that brews beneath the calm facade." I hesitated, words caught in my throat, before finally baring my soul. "I seek a truth, Eliza, something that feels just out of reach. No matter how much I invent, how many revelations I uncover, I find myself yearning for something more, not just the thrill of discovery, but a connection that transcends the confines of this laboratory." Her gaze softened as she listened, the moonlight illuminating her face with an ethereal glow. "Perhaps the answer lies not in isolation, but in the connections you cultivate with those around you. You build inventions meant to change the world, yet you forget to live within it." Her words resonated within me like the gentle tolling of a bell. As we returned to the lab, I felt a shift within my heart, a lighthouse guiding me through the fog of self-doubt. I realized that my true experiment lay not in the glass or the metals, but in the relationships I nurtured. My inventions could shine as bright as the stars, but they were meant to illuminate the bonds with those whom I cherished. As I stepped back into my sanctuary, my resolve solidified. I would forge ahead not just for myself, but for us all. My lab would become a place not only of creation, but of connection, a haven where discovery was shared and celebrated together. This realization burned brightly within me as the candles flickered in response, casting warm shadows that danced across my workbench. The night swelled with potential, and as I gathered my thoughts, my fingers found their way to the apparatus before me. A profound understanding dawning. My legacy could intertwine with the spirits of those I loved, and in that intertwining, I would find my highest purpose. As I stepped into the dimly lit hall of my modest laboratory, a sense of anticipation coursed through me. The walls, lined with bookshelves overflowing with dusty volumes, seemed to whisper secrets of the past. My hands trembled slightly as I opened my journal, ink smudged from the previous night's fervent writing. I could still smell the pen's ink, a mixture of earthy scents and nostalgia. It was in this sanctuary of knowledge that I sought to unravel the mysteries of life itself. Every day I toiled away in the hope of discovering something extraordinary. My heart raced with the quiet yearning to understand the intricacies of existence. Why was I drawn to this pursuit? The answer eluded me, hovering just out of reach like a phantom in my dreams. I gazed out the window, where muffled sounds of the world outside faded into a soft hum, a faraway reminder that life continued beyond these four walls. The flickering candlelight danced across my workbench, illuminating the array of glass vials and bizarre instruments that lay scattered about. Each one held promises of revelation, waiting for me to wield them with careful hands. I could hear the gentle crackle of the candle wick, its glow casting shadows that twisted and breathed on the walls. In this space, I felt both grounded and weightless, tethered to my work yet yearning for something greater. One fateful evening, as moonlight streamed into the room, I caught sight of a peculiar book nestled behind bottles of strange liquids. Its cover was worn, the title barely visible. As I reached for it, a wave of excitement washed over me. This was it, a breakthrough, perhaps the key to everything I had been searching for. I could feel the weight of it in my hands, almost pulsating with potential. Flipping open the fragile pages, I was greeted by the meticulous notes of a previous scholar. The text discussed the very essence of life, a synthesis of alchemy and the natural world. My heart hammered in rhythm with the revelations unfolding before me. Could this work really provide the answers I sought? What if I could unlock the secret to life? The question gripped me tightly, a vice-like hold that urged me to delve deeper. As I spent weeks poring over the text, experimenting with the theories penned on the pages, I found parts of myself changing. The line between obsession and passion blurred. Late into the night, as the rest of the world slept, I could hear the clock tick in sync with my racing heart. Something ancient stirred within me. Then came the night when, under a new moon, I crafted a new formula, a concoction of elements that combined my passion for life and the knowledge I had gathered. Carefully, I poured the liquid into a glass vial, observing the way it shimmered under the soft light of my work lamp. A fusion of joy and dread filled me. Could this become something that breathed, that lived? As I stood there, hands trembling with the mixture of fear and hope, I was reminded of the stories I had read, of the great scientists and their groundbreaking discoveries. Did they feel this potent blend of excitement and terror? I realized then that I was no longer just a student of science. I was a creator, an alchemist of sorts, navigating the thin line between brilliance and madness. The moment I decided to test my creation was nothing short of monumental. The air buzzed with anticipation. I could hear my heartbeat echo in my ears as I placed the vial upon the workbench, the warm light illuminating its surface. It glowed, almost like a living entity, waiting for me to initiate its journey. My mind raced with thoughts of the wonders and dangers that lay before me. As I added the final ingredient, a surge of energy coursed through the room, sending a shiver down my spine. The mixture began to bubble, emitting a soft glow that filled the room with an ethereal light. I stepped back, marveling at the spectacle before me. This was it, the precipice of discovery. Would my creation stir to life, or would it dissolve into a mere memory of folly? Suddenly, there was a flash, and I found myself engulfed in light, suspended in a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity. My thoughts raced, spiraling through hopes and fears as I stood at the brink of something extraordinary. In that instant, I realized that the purpose of my quest extended beyond mere knowledge. It was about connection, understanding the world and my place within it. Drawing in a deep breath, I felt the weight of my choices. Whatever happened next, I knew I had ignited a flame within my heart, a beacon guiding me through the complexities of passion and existence. As the light shimmered and faded, I stood resolved, ready to embrace whatever the future held. From that day forth, my journey was marked by not only success but lessons learned within the very fabric of creation. My narrative was intertwined with the pulse of discovery that echoed through time itself, forever transforming my understanding of life's intricacies and the delicate dance that wove us all together in a great tapestry of existence. As I stood in the dimly lit laboratory, the smell of chemicals mingled with the faint hint of candle wax. I adjusted my spectacles, peering closely at the bubbling concoction in the glass beaker before me. It was a strange brew, a mix of curiosities collected from far-off places. Each component held a story, a fragment of someone else's world now blended into my own. This was my sanctuary, my refuge from the chaos outside. I had always preferred the company of my experiments to that of people. In this space, I felt in control. I raised my hands, gloved in thin rubber, watching as the liquid shimmered with a vibrant hue, shifting between shades of green and blue under the flickering candlelight. The shadows danced around me, creating the illusion of movement, a pulse that harmonized with my own racing thoughts. These experiments were more than mere pursuits. They were my lifeline. But with each passing day, a quiet question began to gnaw at the edges of my mind. What would happen if I could truly discover something monumental? An elixir that could change lives, perhaps even save those I had lost. That thought tethered me to my work, urging me deeper into the unknown. The evening air grew heavy with anticipation, as if the universe itself held its breath. Each new trial brought a flicker of hope mixed with dread. What if I failed? What if the concoction failed to yield the desired results? But I banished those thoughts, for I was not one to shy away from risks. My love for science overshadowed my fear. I turned my attention to the strange dried flower I had obtained weeks earlier, its fragile petals a reminder of the vulnerability of life. I leaned in closer, fingers brushing against the delicate bloom. What secrets do you hold? I wondered, imagining the stories that flower could tell if only it could speak. With a steady hand, I dropped the flower into the potion. It twisted and writhed in the liquid, releasing a swirl of colors that seemed to shimmer with anticipation. I felt a rush of exhilaration and fear. I had read about such reactions in old tomes, the lore of alchemical transformations. Each silhouette of the past loomed vividly in my memory, tales of brilliant minds and lost souls. The room was wrapped in silence, my heart thudding in rhythm with the bubbling mixture. I took a deep breath, my senses heightened. The stillness was broken only by the soft sounds of the bubbling concoction, echoing the pulse of my own nerves. What if this moment would mark the beginning of a new chapter in my life? Suddenly, a crackling noise erupted from the beaker, shattering the serene silence. Alarmed, I leaned closer. Flames licked the sides of the glass, a strange energy sparking within. It was beautiful and terrifying all at once. I could hardly pull my eyes away, caught in the dance of science and magic. In that moment, a flicker of realization surged through me. This was why I devoted my life to this work. The exhilarating thrill of the unknown kept me awake at night and inspired me to break the bounds of conventional wisdom. If my passion for discovery could yield real results, perhaps it could even heal the wounds that haunted my heart. As the flames subsided, the contents of the beaker settled, revealing a glowing liquid that seemed to pulse with energy. I couldn't believe my eyes. Had I done it? Had my pursuit of the extraordinary finally borne fruit? My heart raced as I approached, dread and excitement swirling together. But just as I reached for the flask, a primal instinct held me back. What if I was not yet ready to wield such power? This was an elixir of life, a potion that could alter reality. I could not rush into this. I needed to understand its nature, to ensure it would not cause more harm than good. I had forgotten the most fundamental aspect of my research: patience. With trembling hands, I withdrew momentarily, taking a step back. My internal question resurfaced, reverberating against the walls of my heart. Did I seek recognition or true knowledge? This pursuit had to transcend vanity. It had to echo the whispers of those who had come before me, the geniuses and the saints who had sacrificed everything for the truth. I placed the flask back on the bench and closed my eyes, allowing the candlelight to flicker against my eyelids. I inhaled deeply, calming my racing thoughts. The radiance of the potion still danced in my mind, its vivid glow offering a promise of possibilities. But I needed to tread carefully. In this fragile world of science, where the extraordinary lurked around every corner, sometimes the greatest discovery was the understanding of responsibility. As night fully enveloped the world outside, I allowed myself one last glance at the potion before extinguishing the candle. I took my leave from the laboratory, the questions still echoing in my mind, the story of my life continuing to unfold with every choice I made. As I stepped out into the cool night air, the stars twinkled above, each one a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the endless possibilities awaiting discovery, waiting for someone brave enough to reach for them. My heart swelled with newfound resolve. Tomorrow would bring another day of experimentation, another chance to unveil the mysteries of life itself. The moment I lowered my eyes to the ground, a sense of unease slithered through my bones. It was neither a casual stroll nor a mere inspection of my surroundings. I was here on a mission, bound by an undying curiosity intertwined with an unshakable fear. I stepped into the thick underbrush, the faint scent of wet earth mingling with the bitter tang of wild sage, and there lay the ruins of the old mill, a remnant of bygone days filled with whispers of what once was. The creaking of the weathered wood beneath my feet accompanied my heartbeat, a quiet reminder of the past and the choices that shaped my present. What guided me here? While others rushed toward glistening city lights and bustling markets, I found myself drawn to the shadows where secrets lurked. This place, cloaked in an ethereal mist, felt like a threshold between the world I knew and the distorted memories of my ancestors, their stories echoing in the still air. My fingers brushed against the damp stones of the mill's foundation, and I closed my eyes, allowing my mind to drift back to the tales told by my grandmother, a strong woman who had faced her own shadows with unwavering strength. As I opened my eyes and surveyed the remnants of old machinery, fragments of their purpose flickered before me. I sought the story hidden within these walls, a narrative woven through the rust and decay. Each splintered timber and each rusted cog held an echo of labor and love, of hands that had grappled with every knot and crevice to create and to destroy. My heart pulsed with a question. What would I uncover here? What could these remnants tell me about the lineage I carried on my shoulders? Drawing my breath deeply, I stepped back from the edge of the old water wheel, its massive structure now a festering cradle of growth. The gnarled vines and creeping mosses had rendered it almost unrecognizable, yet to me, it was still a testament to human resilience. I reached forward, and the soft finish of a wildflower brushed against my palm, a gentle reminder that life persists in even the harshest of environments. It was both a beauty and a despair. mirroring my own existence as I realized that every beauty was shadowed by a tale of struggle. The further I ventured into the ruins, the more the memories of my grandmother converged with the whispers of the wind swirling around me. I could almost hear her voice, a soothing balm against the turmoil inside. Her tales of laborers toiling under the glaring sun, sewing together the fabric of their dreams, danced in my mind like phantoms, transforming my fear into an insatiable desire to know. Suddenly, a piercing sound broke the tranquil cocoon of the mill, a cacophony of crackling wood and a startled bird taking flight, snapping me back to the present. I turned instinctively toward the source of the sound, but the only thing that greeted me was the majesty of the looming trees overhead, their branches weaving a tapestry across the sky, inviting whispers of forgotten lore. Despite the interruption, an ember of excitement flickered within me. With every second spent here, I was carving out my own narrative, stitching my existence to the heartbeat of history. I knelt to examine a cracked tile, its vibrant color dulled by time. Running my fingers over its intricate design, a shiver traveled up my spine. This tile was once a part of something significant, a history lost beneath layers of sediment and neglect. It struck me like lightning. Had their stories been woven into the very fabric of my own family's tale? What had they sacrificed, and at what cost? Lifting the tile gently, I revealed beneath it a small trinket, worn and dulled but unmistakably familiar. A locket, its once sparkling finish now tarnished. My heart raced as I held it in my palm. It felt heavier than I anticipated. Could this have belonged to someone from my past? The implications twisted my thoughts, urging me to dig deeper. I brushed away the dirt, revealing the blurred engraving on its surface, faint yet distinctive. A name, Eliza. My pulse quickened further, stirring a flood of memories I had thought long buried. In that moment, the ruins of the mill transformed from mere relics into a living history that intertwined deeply with my lineage. What would Eliza's life have been like? What dreams did she harbor within the confines of this mechanical behemoth? The locket's surface glimmered faintly in the diffused light, and I couldn't help but hold my breath, feeling the pressure of the stories waiting to be uncovered. I tucked the locket carefully into my pocket, pressing on to reveal more secrets entrenched in the mill's haunting embrace. Days turned into weeks as I revisited the mill, each time peeling back layers like an impatient gardener revealing the beauty of a budding flower. I dreamt of Eliza, of her laughter and resilience, her feet pounding rhythmically against the floorboards as if she were part of the machinery itself. One chilly afternoon, draped in hues of twilight, I couldn't resist the pull of the mill any longer. As darkness painted the landscape, I ventured inside. The air was thick with anticipation, and my footsteps echoed in the hollow silence of the space. The flickering light from an oil lamp I had set there previously cast dancing shadows across the walls. I closed my eyes, inhaling the damp smell of aged timber, and listened. Every creak and sigh held the promise of something unfolding. And then I heard it, a voice, a call from beyond the veil of time. My heart raced as clarity seeped into my consciousness, and I felt the weight of every story that had ever passed through this place settle in my soul. The question that once lingered began to unravel. What was I destined to learn from these echoes of time? The answer wove itself into my heart. Resilience is not merely a trait, but a tapestry of many lives intertwined, and it carries the echo of every storyteller still alive in the whispers of the wind.